One thing we can do to be happy in a new environment is called adaptation. The second thing we can do to be happy in a new environment is called modification. To modify is when people make changes to the environment around them rather than changing themselves. The Neolithic era took place from about 12,000 years ago to about 5,000 years ago. It's sometimes called the New Stone Age and was when people began to take control over their environment. Evolution led to some extremely important changes that would forever impact human history. People began to be able to create fire. They no longer had to wait for nature to provide it. People began to farm and domesticate animals for food. This means they no longer had to worry about where their next meal came from. They gathered into groups to live. Villages appeared, then towns. They learned how to be happy by living in one place. These places were called settlements and would eventually grow into towns and cities. The ability to make fire, farm crops, domesticate animals, and live in groups were all possible through humans modifying their environment.
5 things you should know about Neolithic times. Prehistory is divided into 2 major stages, the Stone Age and the Age of Metals. The Neolithic period is the last stage of the Stone Age. Neolithic times began with the practice of agriculture and cattle raising. The word Neolithic means new stone, and this explains why the stone tools that appeared during this period were much more elaborate than Paleolithic tools. The beginning of Neolithic times is marked by the practice of agriculture and cattle raising. During this stage, humans started to domesticate animals like goats, sheep, and cows. These first farm animals were kept for their meat, milk, and skin. During Neolithic times, people started to cultivate the land to grow food, planting cereal like wheat or barley. For this reason, they stopped being nomads, and their lifestyle became sedentary. They didn't have to travel to look for food. They had everything they needed in their villages. Neolithic times are marked by the first settlements found near fertile land, where there was plenty of water. They needed water for their animals and crops. Cattle raising and cultivating the land improved their diet. That's why populations started to grow. Small villages were growing bigger and bigger, and this brought in new ways of social organization. Tribal chiefs were responsible for the safety of the village and the well-being of the people. The first man-made stone tools appeared in Paleolithic times, becoming more elaborate during Neolithic times. The main difference was that these tools were no longer made by striking 2 stones together. They were made by friction polishing, meaning they were sharper and more durable. It was now easier to hunt and cultivate the land more effectively. Neolithic people invented the plow and the sickle, which they used for plowing and harvesting their crops. One of the most important tools was the hand mill. It was used during the Neolithic times to grind grains. During this stage, a very important tool was invented, the wheel. That made agricultural tasks much easier. This invention is equally important in modern times as well, as it is impossible to imagine life without it. Don't you think so? Other significant inventions took place as well, like the loom, which Neolithic people used for weaving clothes and tapestry. Thanks to this invention, they also managed to make the first sails, which helped them to navigate the seas using the force of the wind. Neolithic people are also known for discovering pottery and making ceramics. The first megalithic structures appeared as well. They are thought to have been used as burial and worship sites. Villages were growing bigger and bigger, and people started using metal tools in their everyday tasks. The use of metal tools marks the end of the Neolithic period and the beginning of the Age of Metals, a new stage in prehistory. These are the 5 things you should know about this time period.
What you are about to see is what New York City looked like over 500 years ago. Notice all the changes from then until now. As you watch the following computer animation, think about how people through the years modified the environment. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is over 17.5 miles long and crosses the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay between Delmarva and Hampton Roads in the U.S. state of Virginia. It takes approximately 25 minutes to drive across. There are parts of the bridge where, if you look around in all directions, all you will see is water.
Dubai may have the world's tallest building, the world's largest indoor theme park, and the world's first rotating skyscraper on the way. But the city's man-made archipelagos, which are all in various stages of completion, Palm Jumeirah, Deira Islands, Palm Jebel Ali, the World Island, and Blue Waters Island, are the very impressive. Some of the world's largest artificial islands are being built off the coast of Dubai, United Arab Emirates. In today's video, we'll talk about how Dubai's artificial islands were constructed. So, how did the islands come to be? The process of dredging sand from the Persian and Arabian Gulf floors is known as land reclamation. The sand was then sprayed and vibro-compacted into shape, using GPS technology for precision, and protected by millions of tons of rock. The United Arab Emirates' most populous city and emirate is Dubai. The islands were built to create more coastal real estate because the city is a popular destination for wealthy tourists. In 2001, work on the Palm Islands began. Divers surveyed the seabed, and workers used blasted mountain rock to build a crescent-shaped breakwater. At its deepest point, the crescent of Palm Jumeirah stands a little more than 13 feet above low-tide sea level and sits in 34 feet of water. The lowest layer of the breakwater is sand, which is covered by an erosion-resistant, water-permeable geotextile. The sand is covered by 1-ton rocks, and the structure is capped by 2 layers of large rocks weighing up to 6 tons each. A floating crane has placed a toe inside the crescent. The breakwater also has 2 328-foot openings on each side to keep the 16 narrow, deep channels from becoming stagnant. Every 13 days, these gaps allow water to circulate completely. The Palm Islands are made of sand that has been dredged from the seabed and transported from the Persian Gulf. The Palm Jumeirah is made up of 3.2 billion cubic feet of ocean sand that has been vibro-compressed into place. Vibro-compaction involves saturating loose sand with water jets and vibrating it with probes to increase its density. When water is added to desert sand, it tends to liquefy, so it couldn't be used for this project. Designers and contractors used differential global positioning systems, DGPS, to plot the palms and ensure the sand placement was within 0.39 of an inch to get the complex shape just right. During the construction of the island, workers lived on the fronds and in anchored cruise ships. The Palm Jumeirah is currently crammed with villas, hotels, and attractions. According to Business Insider, hotels are built on the palm's trunk, while homes are built on the fronds. Long-term residents, vacationers, and real estate speculators make up the majority of buyers. Palm Jumeirah is home to around 80,000 people, with a capacity of 120,000, and is a popular tourist destination. Do you consider Dubai as your next destination to visit?